Hi folks, for today's video I want to talk about using all these big beastie amplifiers at home, nice and quietly, without you getting evicted. Can you do it? Should you do it? Does it sound okay? Why would you do it? So many questions. Anyway, right, the point is, this is what I use. I've got the Katana, which I can run in half watt mode. I've got a little Peavey Studio Pro, which is a little 12-inch combo. It's actually quite a loud beast as well, but nothing compared to these four. We have a City JCA50, which is essentially a Soldano Hot Rod 50 Plus. We've got the Peavey Windsor, which is like a hot rodded Marshall JCM800. The Bugera 333 XL Infinium, world's longest name for an amplifier. And it's based on the Peavey JSX, the Joe Satriani signature. And up there we have got a Peavey Ultra Plus, which is one of the James Brown Ultra Series designed amps. The same guy that did the 5150, and it's in that ballpark. So all medium gain, high gain, high gain, high gain metal amplifiers, rock metal amps. And I use these at home. So why? Well, partly I like the sound. Also, I can play them nice and quiet, and I'm going to prove the point. Now, I used this at the weekend at a concert in a hall, and I used that Harley Benton 4x12 cabinet with vintage 30s, and I also used the Peavey Windsor's 4x12 cabinet. So that's what I've hooked up today, because obviously that's what you'll use at home. 8 12-inch speakers and 120 watt all valve tube amplifier. And I can quite happily play this without upsetting anyone. So we have a Kramer Pacer, Seymour Duncan JB in the bridge, Jazz in the neck, all very rock guitar orientated. And this is my gigging guitar going into my gigging amp, into my gigging cabinets. The only effect on is a touch of delay. And here is a clean sound. And that's perfectly respectable. In fact, I'll keep talking. And you will hear that it's not that loud. You should be able to hear my voice no problem. And I've seen people demonstrating little practice amps and saying, look, we can talk over this. Well, that's a 120 watt amp. And I've got it in full power mode. I've not switched it to half, and I can still talk over it. And the sound is still rich, it's still rounded. It's not like coming from a tiny little amplifier. And this is what I personally prefer. Everyone's different, but I like this sort of bit of warmth and a bit of roundness in the tone. And I would much rather have multiple speakers whispering than one of them working hard. It just seems to give a nicer, mellow sound. And that's very nice for a clean. Go to the neck pickup, everything's on full in the guitar. And you can rehearse with that quite happily without upsetting anyone. Okay, so clean is easy. Then you think, well, wait a minute, what about gain? That's when you've got to get things cooking and cranked up. And yep, it makes a difference. It makes the amps really come alive. But it's not stopping you using something like this at home, because it still sounds good. And that's the whole point. In my previous videos, when I've been complimented at times on the sound, the volume is louder than today, but it's still not ridiculously loud. You could still kind of talk quite loudly over it, shout over it, no problem. It's nowhere near gig volume, or a drummer would have drowned it out long ago. So here is the crunch channel. Little green light will go yellow. There we go. And I have got the crunch set fairly high, but I'm not in the ultra boosted mode. I tend to prefer this with slightly less gain than it's really designed for. But as you hear with that, it's still got so much sustain and so much life, and there's still a depth. And I haven't got the resonance control set high, I've got it set on medium. So it's not thumping, it's not shaking anything, I'm not enhancing low frequencies. This is just as it was set. And as you hear, we're still going. We're still sustaining with a guitar with a Floyd Rose trim. It's not a Les Paul. And that's great kind of rock levels again. Think kind of your Van Halen types or Ozzy kind of levels, or Iron Maidens, Bon Jovi's. It's fine for that. Motley Crue's. That kind of 80s level of hard rock gain. And that's fine. You'll hear the strings actually of the guitar more. And that's point proven, I would say. Now, lead. Let's turn it into the fire spitting red demon. There we go. Goes red. There's a little bit of a sponginess now with that amount of gain, but pinch harmonics sustain for days. And I've not delved into the EQ at all. If I wanted, I could scoop that out, I could make it brighter, I could make it darker, I could flick the resonance knob and make it really thumpy, like having a loud button on your hi-fi. Remember hi-fis? Showing my age. So yeah, back to crunch. And you can still do the cleaning off. But using a big amp quietly still retains a warmth and a roundness to the tone. It's not a harsh tone. It might not be the full glory of an amp really cooking, but it's still a good usable tone. So, what's the point of all this? Well, that cost me €250. The cabinet cost about €150. The Jet City was €250, and the Peavey Windsor cost me €300 for the amp and the cab. I bought the Bugera new a number of years ago, and it was about £350 at that point. I was living in the UK. So you can go and you can pick up a proper all valve gigging level amplifier for very little these days. The market's full of big amps. People are selling them off. People are wanting little amps or things that are easy to carry. And I don't blame them in some respects, but it means it's a great way for myself or you if you're in that market, to get really great sound for very little money, very, very little money. And then you think, well, can I gig it? Can I gig it? Yes. Forget that last comment. Yes, of course you can gig them. They're gigging amps. Can I use it at home? Yes, absolutely. There is no issue. Now I could switch this down to one cabinet and it would be even quieter. So, yep, value for money. These are now an absolute steal. You don't particularly need, if you have space, you don't need a dedicated practice amp. One of these will do fine for practicing. They will do for rehearsing. They will do for gigging. And this is a thing as somebody maybe starting out. Somebody who's maybe thinking of getting amplifiers for their kids. They're getting into guitar. With hindsight, growing up, I started off with a 15-watt little Fender, then moved up to a Peavey Bandit, then I had two Peavey Bandits, then eventually I went to a Laney half stack. Buying, selling, all the way up. In actual fact, if you have the space, even if you don't have a lot of space, you can still run these in a 1x12 cabinet. But you can save an awful lot of money in the long run by picking up something like these second hand. You know, a Bugera I've seen for like 180 euros. So you can get them so cheap. You have a great sound, you have an amp that will do you through any stage of your development as a player and in any environment. I don't see why you wouldn't go and look for these. I'm still looking for them. I've found a few that I would really like to get my hands on, but that's for a later date. And if people would like and subscribe, I might one day get there and being able to get them. So there you go. It's just a little video done at the lunchtime in France, so nice and quiet, didn't offend anyone. Happy with the sound, happy with the tone, happy with the reg, and you can do the same for very, very little money. And don't panic thinking, oh, that's going to be too loud for my house. It won't be. It can be as quiet as you want, and it's fine. But it can also be incredibly loud, which is really good fun. Okay, so that's all for today. I'll have something for you again very, very soon, so please like and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the things you see here, there's videos on that, there's videos on the EVH, there's a video on the Red Beach RBM Ibanez, which I got a lovely comment from Robert Baker about. He's just picked one up, so that was a nice thing for my channel. So please like and subscribe. Thank you very much and have a great weekend. Bye bye.